Hello everybody and welcome back to the Commander Tribe Elder. Today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. A friend of mine reached out to me and he wanted me to showcase one of his decks on my channel and to get input from you guys on how to make it a little bit more into the power category that he wants. So he uses a different grading system than you're probably used to. He goes to a site called Play EDH, and he wants it at their mid power level. And I'll go ahead and just read to you exactly what it says for its mid power level. So it says, mid power features highly synergistic strategies, dedicated win cons, efficient removal, and draw, and an emphasis is on playing to win against a broad range of decks. Expect stacks, combo, mid-range, control, aggro, reanimator, enchantress, and just about everything else you can imagine. In mid, you should anticipate that your threats will be answered and be expected to answer threats in kind. Leverage your deck's capabilities toward a win. Your deck is expected to make use of the tools available in your commander's color. Mid is an excellent place to play powerful, interactive decks, but without the consistency and speed of higher power levels. So, and theirs is a 5-tiered grading system. And that's right at the level 3. Their other categories, their categories in order are Battlecruiser, low power, mid power, which is what we want, high power, and then maximum power. And then for a theme for the deck, he basically said, Morophon is a tribe Eldrazi deck. The goal is to play all the Eldrazi that have colored mana symbols in the same deck. So basically he's wanting to do what every tribal deck out there wants to do, and that's put a bunch of its tribe out on the battlefield, interact with the players, with the abilities of the creatures, and maybe a couple spells here and there, and overwhelm the board and win through that kind of strategy. He asked my opinion. I have a couple ideas. And honestly, Eldrazi is one of those tribes I don't have too much love for. I stopped playing way back in Kamigawa and didn't pick up again until the whole Zendikar thing, so I missed out completely on the Eldrazi. And they just never really grew on me. I'm more of a merfolk and goblin kind of guy. So again, I'm kind of reaching out to you guys because my ideas would be very limited. And I know we could just do the whole EDH rec thing, and it's just like, yeah, you can miss a lot of things on there. A perfect example is somebody threw an infinite combo that I thought was gorgeous, and they said, hey, try this in your elf tribal deck because, you know, it would fit right in. And I had half the combo, and then I wanted to get it, and I didn't even have a clue that the other card existed. So that's kind of what I'm asking you guys for, is just some of those out-of-the-box ideas. So I'll go ahead and go through the deck. I'm going to leave out the mana base because that's boring and he knows it needs work. As stated before, the commander is Morophon, the Boundless. It's a 7-drop for a 6/6 legendary creature shapeshifter. It has changeling. It means it's every creature type. And it does have 5 pips of every color, so you are able to use all 5 mana colors. It says, as Morophon, the Boundless, enters the battlefield, choose a creature type, obviously Eldrazi. Spells of the chosen type you cast cost Wooburg less to cast, and Wooburg is just white, blue, black, red, or green. This effect reduces only the amount of colored mana you pay, and then other creatures you control of the chosen type get +1/+1, and it is a 6/6. So I believe it's all creatures first, is how I have it arranged. So we'll go through all the creatures first. The next creature is Ulamog's Crusher. It's 8 for a creature Eldrazi. That's an 8/8. It has Annihilator 2, which just means whenever this creature attacks, defending player sacrifices X number of creatures, in this case 2. And then it attacks each combat F able. Ulamog, the Ceaseless Hunger. It's a 10 For 10/10, it's a legendary creature Eldrazi. When you cast Ulamog, the Ceaseless Hunger, exile 2 permanents. It has Indestructible, and whenever Ulamog attacks, defending player exiles the top 20 cards of his or her library. Next creature is Voidwinner. It's a 9-drop. For an 11/9, your opponents can't cast spells with even converted mana cost. 0 is even. Your opponents can't block with creatures with even converted mana costs. This would probably be one of the first ones that I remove. The next card is Kozlak, Butcher of Truth. It's 10 for a 12/12, legendary creature Eldrazi. When you cast it, draw 4 cards. It has Annihilator 4. And when it's put into the graveyard from anywhere, its owner shuffles his or her graveyard into his or her library. Next one is Ulamog, the Infinite Geyer. It's 11 for a 10/10 legendary creature Eldrazi. When you cast this spell, destroy target permanent. It has Indestructible and Annihilator 4. When Ulamog, the Infinite Geyer, is put into a graveyard from anywhere, its opponent or its owner shuffles their graveyard into their library. That would probably be my next suggestion, is take one of these two out. I don't think you need both for mill protection. And I would lean probably towards removing Ulamog, because the draw, I think, would be more important than the destruction of a single permanent. The next card is It That Betrays. It's 12 for an 11/11 with Annihilator 2. Whenever an opponent sacrifices a non-token permanent, put that card into the battlefield under your control. And you have to leave in Emrakul, of course. I mean, you don't have to, but it's so much fun. Emrakul, the Promised End. It's 13 for a 13/13. It costs 1 less to cast for each card type among cards in your graveyard. When you cast Ulamog, you gain control of target opponent during that player's next turn. After that turn, that player takes an extra turn. And it has flying, trample, protection from instants. The next one is Fathom Feeder. It's a blue and a black. So with our commander out, this would cost nothing. It's Fathom Feeder. It's a Eldrazi drone. It's a 1/1. It has Devoid, which means it has no color. And it also has Death Touch and Ingest. And Ingest is just whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, that player exiles the top card of his or her library. And you can pay 3, a blue and a black. Draw a card. Each opponent exiles the top card of his or her library. So it does seem like that there is a sort of slight mill sub-theme in this. The next card is Eldrazi Displacer. It's 2 and a white with Devoid for a 3/3 Eldrazi. It has Devoid, which means it is colorless. You pay 2 and specifically a non-colorless mana and exile another target creature, then return to the battlefield tapped under its owner's control. Eldrazi Obligator. It's 2 and a black, or 2 and a red, excuse me. For an Eldrazi, that's a 3/1. It has Devoid. When you cast it, you may pay 1 and a specifically colorless. If you do, gain control of target creature until the end of the turn. Untap that creature, it gains haste until the end of the turn, and it itself has haste. Next up is Herald of Cosilic. It's 1 blue and a red. It has Devoid. Colorless spells you cast cost 1 less to cast, and it's a 2/4. Catacomb Sifter. It's 1 black and a green. It has Devoid. It's an Eldrazi drone. It's a 2/3. When it enters the battlefield, put a 1/1 colorless Eldrazi Scion creature token into the battlefield. It has sacrificed this creature, add 1 colorless mana to your mana pool. And also, whenever another creature you control dies, you get to scry 1. Flayer Drone. It's 1, a black and a red for an Eldrazi drone. It's a 3/1. It has Devoid and First Strike. Whenever another colorless creature enters the battlefield under your control, target opponent loses 1 life. funny, when I was looking through this, I had no idea there were so many low casting in Eldrazi. Smothering Abomination is 2 and 2 black. It's a 4/3 Eldrazi. It has Devoid and Flying. At the beginning of your upkeep, sacrifice a creature. Whenever you sacrifice a creature, you draw a card. It's definitely churning out that draw engine. And that's another reason I wanted to keep the one really big Eldrazi. Eyeless Watcher. It's 3 and a green for an Eldrazi drone. That's a 1/1. It has Devoid. When it enters the battlefield, put 2 1/1 colorless Eldrazi Scion creature tokens into the battlefield. Then sacrifice this creature, add 1 colorless mana to your mana pool. Brood Monitor. It's 4 green for a 3/3. When it enters the battlefield, put 3 1/1 colorless Eldrazi Scion creature tokens into the battlefield. They have sacrificed this creature, add 1 mana to your mana pool. I'm going to start leaving off the ability on that and just say it brings in Scions, just to speed this up a little bit. Next is Endbringer. It's 5 and a colorless for a 5/5 Eldrazi. Untap Endbringer during each other player's untap step. You can tap it. It deals 1 damage to target creature or player. You could pay a colorless and tap it. Target creature can't attack or block this turn. And you could pay 2 colorless, tap, and draw a card. Next is Cyrus Stagnation. It's 4 blue black for a 5/7 Eldrazi with Devoid. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under an opponent's control, that player exiles the top 2 cards of his or her library and you draw 2 cards. Worldbreaker is 6 and a green for a 5/7 Eldrazi. It has Devoid. When you cast it, exile target artifact, enchantment, or land. It has Reach. Pay 2 and a colorless, sacrifice a land, return it Worldbreaker from your graveyard to your hand. Next is Kozlak, the Great Distortion. It's 8 and 2 colorless for 12/12. When you cast Kozlak, the Great Distortion, if you have fewer than 7 cards in hand, draw cards equal to the difference. It has Menace. It has to be blocked by 2 or more creatures. And then you could discard a card with converted mana cost X. Counter target spell with converted mana cost X. Very efficient card if you can have a lot of cards in your hand. Warden of the Geo Geometries. It's 4 for a 2/3. It has Vigilance. And you can tap it for a colorless mana. Kozilek's Channeler. It's 5 for a 4/4. You tap it, you add 2 colorless to your mana pool. Conduit of Ruin. It's 6 for a 5/5 Eldrazi. When you cast Conduit of Ruin, you may search your library for a colorless creature card with converted mana cost 7 or greater. Reveal it, then shuffle your library and put that card on top of it. The first creature spell you cast each turn costs 2 less to cast. Bane of Ged. It's 7 for a 7/5 Eldrazi. Whenever it attacks, defending player exiles 2 permanents he or she controls. Basically Annihilator 2. Eldrazi Conscription. It's 8 for a tribal enchantment. That's Eldrazi. Enchant creature. Enchanted creature gets +10/+10 and has trample and Annihilator 2. I think this is also another just kind of immediate edit out. We already have large Eldrazi. I don't see a reason to throw this onto a Scion or even make one of the other ones bigger. Source of Plowshares. It's an instant. It's 1 white. Exile target creature. Its controller gains life equal to its power. Kozilek's Return. It's 2 and a red for an instant. It has Devoid. Kozilek's Return deals 2 damage to each creature. Whenever you cast an Eldrazi creature spell with converted mana cost 7 or greater, you may exile Kozilek's Return from your graveyard. If you do, Kozilek's Return deals 5 damage to each creature. Crosian Grip. It's 2 and a green. It has Split Second, which just means you cannot use most spells to interact with it on the stack. Destroy target artifact or enchantment. Abrupt Decay, it's another instant. It's white and a green. It can't be countered by spells or abilities, and you destroy target non-land permanent with converted mana cost 3 or less. Cyclonic Rift, it's 1 and a blue for an instant. Return target non-land permanent you don't control to its owner's hand, and you can overload it for 6 and a blue to return all non-land permanent your opponents control to their hand. Next up is Despark. It's white and a green, or white and a black, excuse me. Exile target permanent with converted mana cost 4 or greater. Assassin's Trophy, 1 and a green for an instant. Destroy target permanent an opponent controls. Its controller may search their library for a basic land card, put into the battlefield, then shuffle their library. Yugen the Spirit Dragon, it's 8 for a Planeswalker Yugen that's got 7 loyalty counters. Its +2 ability is it deals 3 damage to target creature or player. It has a -X. Exile each permanent with converted mana cost X or less that's 1 or more colors. And it has a -10, you gain 7 life, draw 7 cards, then put up to 7 permanent cards from your hand into the battlefield. This would probably be another one that I remove and replace it with the other Yugen that came out not too long ago that actually reduces the casting cost of colorless creatures that you have. Just again bringing that curve down as far as we can. Onto the sorceries. It's Ruinous Ultimatum. It's 2 red, 3 white, and 2 black. Destroy all non-land permanents your opponents control. All is Dust. It's 7 for a tribal sorcery, Eldrazi. Each player sacrifices all colored permanents he or she controls. Definitely a good card for this deck. Abrade. It's 1 and a red. Choose 1. It deals 3 damage to target creature or player, or destroy target artifact. Casualties of War. It's 2, 2 black, and 2 green. And you may choose 1 or more. Either destroy target artifact, creature, enchantment, land, or planeswalker, or all of them, or some of them. Merciless Eviction. It's 4 a white and a black. Choose 1, exile all artifacts, or exile all creatures, or exile all enchantments, or exile all planeswalkers. Kindred Dominance. It's 5 black, black. Choose a creature type. Destroy all creatures that aren't of the chosen type. Next is Scour from Existence. It's 7. Exile target permanent. And on to the other enchantments that are not tribal. Which is, oh no, it's a little mixed up in there. That's fine. Spreading Plague, it's 4 and a black. For an enchantment, whenever a creature comes into play, destroy all other creatures that shared a color with it. They can't regenerate. This card is downright mean and might think about removing it. I'm not sure. A possibility. Soul Ring, it's 1 for an artifact. Tap it for 2 mana, 2 colors mana. Fell Warstone, it's 2 for an artifact. Tap, add to your mana pool 1 mana of any color that a land an opponent controls could produce. Chromatic Lantern, it's 3 for an artifact. Lands you control have tap, add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool, and it taps for 1 mana of any color also. Farseek, it's a sorcery that's 1 and a green. Search your library for a plains, island, swamp, or mountain and put it into the battlefield tapped. Then shuffle your library. Kodama's Reach and Cultivate, basically the same thing. You pay 2 and a green. You search your library for 2 basic land cards, reveal those cards, put 1 into the battlefield tapped and the other one into your hand, and then shuffle your library. Migration Path, it's 3 and a green for a sorcery. Search your library for up to 2 basic land cards, put them into the battlefield tapped, then shuffle your library, and you can also cycle it for 2, which just means you discard it and draw a new card. Rampant Growth, it's 1 and a green. Search your library for a basic land card, put that into the battlefield tapped, then shuffle your library. Sylvan Scrying, it's 1 and a green. Search your library for a land card, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle your library. Forsaken Monument, it's a legendary artifact for 5. Colorless creatures you control get +2/+2. Whenever you tap a permanent for colorless, add an additional colorless. Whenever you cast a colorless spell, you gain 2 life. Fist of Suns, 3 for an artifact. You may pay white, blue, black, red, and green rather than pay the mana cost for spells that you cast. Evolutionary Leap, it's 1 and a green. For an enchantment, sacrifice a creature. Reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a creature card. Put that card into your hand and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Next is Descendants Path. It's 2 and a green for an enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, reveal the top card of your library. If it's a creature card that shares a creature type with a creature you control, you may cast that card without paying its mana cost. Otherwise, put that card on the bottom of your library. That's fun. Ancient Stirrings, it's 1 for a sorcery. Look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may reveal a colorless card from among them and put it into your hand. Then put the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. Painful Truths is a sorcery for 2 and a black. It has Converge. You draw X cards and you lose X life, where X is the number of colors of mana spent to cast the spell. Genesis Ultimatum, it's 2 green, 3 blue, 2 red for a sorcery. Look at the top 5 cards of your library. Put a number of permanent cards from among them into the battlefield and the rest. Put any number of permanent cards from among them into the battlefield and the rest into your hand. And then you exile the Ultimatum. Sylvan Library, it's 1 and a green. I think this is an older printing. I think it's been updated, but I'll go ahead and just read it anyway. You may draw 2 cards during your draw phase. If you do so, put the cards drawn this turn back on top of your library in any order, or pay 4 life per card not replaced. Effects that prevent or redirect damage cannot be used to counter the loss of life. I think that basically still holds. There might be some rule changes on that one. Anyhow. Next card is, and that's an enchantment. Next card is From Beyond. It's 3 and a green for an enchantment that has Devoid. At the beginning of your upkeep, put a 1/1 colorless Eldrazi Scion creature token into the battlefield. It has Sacrifice this creature, add 1 mana to your mana pool. And then you can pay 1 and a green, sacrifice From Beyond. Search your library for an Eldrazi card, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle your library. Awakening Zone is 2 and a green. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may create a 0/1 colorless Eldrazi Spawn creature token. With Sacrifice this creature, add a colorless to your mana pool. Herald's Horn. It's 3 for an artifact. As Herald's Horn enters the battlefield, choose a creature type. Creature spells you cast of the chosen type cost 1 less to cast. At the beginning of your upkeep, look at the top card of your library. If it's a creature card of the chosen type, you may reveal it and put it into your hand. And the last card, other than land, which I'm not going over, is Urza's Incubator. It's 3 for an artifact. As Urza's Incubator enters the battlefield, choose a creature type. Creature spells of the chosen type cost 2 less to cast. So yeah, that's the deck. And like I said, my friend's just kind of reaching out to me to reach out to everybody out there for some suggestions to make it more in that 3 category, because he's used to playing basically CEDH. And so he was just wanting to gather from me and the community to help him out with this one. So I really look forward to any suggestions that you may have, and I'll pass them along to him, and we'll go from there. Until next time, take care and keep playing.